for this tutorial, we are just going to make some simple bag tags that you can just add to gift bags. So this is a project for just using up Christmas scraps that you've been cutting from. So find several scraps of fabrics that you want to use. And I also am going to be using some flannel for the backing on mine. And so you just need some flannel and some printed leftover scraps from Christmas fabric. So for the first step, I'm going to center and fussy cut whatever design I want to use out of the fabric. So I'm going to try to capture the snowman, and I am just using a 4-inch ruler here, or 4.5 inch, and I am just going to completely trim with my snowman in the center so that I can just do a fussy cut of just a regular square. Now you can make these smaller or larger, whichever way you want to do that. I am just starting with one that I had that was already a good square. So now that I have that fussy cut, I want to also have a piece of flannel that I'm going to back with this. And what we are going to do is sew this all the way around completely onto the flannel. Okay, so I have sewn the sides and the bottom of mine so far. Now I want to come right here and find the center of my snowman, but I want to go ahead and make sure I trim off the green first. So we're going to trim off the edges with the green, and then once we have this trimmed, I'm going to leave a little bit of space up here for me to insert a ribbon. And the way I'm going to find the center is once this is trimmed, I'm going to fold this in half and mark kind of with my fingers, just finger press the center. And that is where I want to put a little piece of ribbon for a bag tag. Okay, so notice that I only trimmed off the excess felt. I left the amount of seam allowance that I had to begin with, so that is very important for what we are going to do. So just make sure that you leave the seam allowance. Notice I went a little bit larger this time than 1/4 inch because I want to fray the edges. So I have cut a little piece of ribbon, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5.5 is the length. And I'm going to just fold it into a loop that comes together here at the bottom. And then I'm going to just insert this in between these two layers at the top where I have not sewn a stitch. And you want it to go down in the section a little far so that you have room to make sure you're catching that same seam allowance across the area. So take this back to your machine and go ahead and sew the seam allowance here that you have all the way around and capture the ribbon. Okay, so now we've gotten this sewn in with the ribbon. So now, because I used the background, this is going to make this easier to fray. So I am just going to now clip all of these in between close to all of those seams without cutting the actual seam, and go all the way around. And then once I get all the way around, we're just going to pull it apart, because flannel is something that's really good at giving you a nice little frayed look. So that's why I chose the flannel. And we're just going to make this look jagged, and we're going to have a cute little bag tag that we have used as a fussy cut. Now make sure you don't cut where your ribbon's at, because we do not want to cut the ribbon off. And then we're just going to mess with this enough to get this to fray like we did the scrappy Christmas trees, if you've already seen that video. And this is just going to give us a cute little vintage looking gift tag that's unique, that we can just add to any bags or gifts that we want to give to people at Christmas this year. You can also use felt on the background if you don't want to use flannel. But you're just going to continue to mess with this until you get it to spread out and to kind of fray a little bit. And then you have the perfect little addition to add to a bag. Okay, so here is a little sample for the gift bag. So I'm just going to lay that here. I'm going to loop another piece of ribbon around the handle and through the loop that I made for the gift tag. And then you can tie it in a knot and leave it like that. Or if you prefer, you can even turn that into a little bow. And now you have a little personalized tag that is just a cute little addition to dress up a Christmas bag. And if you guys know how it goes, the regular plain paper bags are much cheaper in bulk than the ones that are decorative. So this is also a way to dress up a plain bag with something that you've created that's really cute. And then when they take it off the bag, they can then take it and even start a collection of Christmas tree ornaments that you've created with fabric. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it gives you some ideas for Christmas. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have some other things you would like to see in the comments. And I look forward to our next tutorial.